Let's continue our math adventure. Things just keep getting more and more interesting. Today, we are going to be working with solving equations with variables on both sides. This is the first time we've seen that. So we're going to take a look at this equation here. We know right now that this side and this side are perfectly balanced, and our job is to make sure that both sides always remain perfectly balanced. When I look at this though, I see parentheses, and the moment I see parentheses, I gotta pause because I have to see if that's distributive property, and if it is, I have to do that first because that's my order of operations. So this is the distributive property format. I'm seeing this as two groups of negative 4h's minus 13. So I'm first going to solve using my distributive property, and I know that I have two groups of negative 4h. I'm going to bring down that subtraction sign, and I have two groups of 13. Now, a positive times a negative is a negative. 2 times 4 is 8 h's. Minus 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 3 is 6. 20 plus 6 is 26. Now I've finished my distributive property on that side, but I have to keep my equation going. So I'm going to put back in my other side of that equation. That is still perfectly balanced. So my job is I need to get all my variables on one side of the equation, and I need to get all my numbers on the other side of the equation. So I always start with my variables first, and my job is to try to make sure that my variables are always positive. So I take a look at negative 8h, and I see 13h. And I think to myself, well, what can I do to keep this so that this is a positive variable? Well, I know that I could add 8h to this side to cancel that out. But the second I added 8h there, I went out of balance. So to keep my balance, I've got to add 8h over on this other side and pull myself back into balance. Well, when I add that 8h over there, 13h's plus 8h, I get 21h's. This side, those dropped out, and I was just left with negative 26. Now, sometimes kids will just write 26. You've got to bring this down because this really is like 0 minus 26, which would be negative 26. And I still have my 37 on this side. So I just achieved my first goal. I got all my variables on one side. So now I need to go to my second goal, which is to get all my constants on the other side. So I'm going to cover up this plus 21h. And I think to myself, if I have 37 things on this side of that equation or in that balance, how do I get rid of it? Well, I'm going to subtract 37. But whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other. Always thinking of that balance. Well, what's left on this side, I have my 21h's. What's left on this side, sometimes it's hard for us to see. I see this as negative 26 minus 37. And I know I can always rewrite subtraction to plus the opposite. So I'm going to come over here and write negative 26. I'm going to change that subtraction to plus. I cover up that subtraction sign, and I see that's a positive 37. So I'm going to change that to negative 37. Well, now I can clearly see that I've got reds and reds. And all those reds come together, and they have to equal a negative. And if I have 26 plus 37, I have negative 63. I'm not done yet though, because I need to know what h is, not what 21h is. So I know that right now this is 21 times h. The inverse of multiplication is division. But whatever I do on one side, I have to do on the other to keep my balance. So I'm going to divide by 21 on both sides. Well, these cancel out, and I'm left with just an h. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. 63 divided by 21 is 3. Therefore, I know that h equals negative 3. My mission is accomplished. Now it's up to you.